delivering a message so loud that it shakes every conference table in the office of every high-powered lobbyist who's been betraying the working people of this country for 40 years. You have a chance with your vote tomorrow and the vote of your friends and family and colleagues and coworkers to cancel out 40 years of corruption and failure and betrayal that has destroyed the lives of millions of American people. You have seen in your own state the human tragedy that ensues when our politicians serve the special interests and the international CEOs at the expense of everyday, loyal, patriotic Americans. How many of you know of somebody who's lost a job, whose factory has shut down, whose wages haven't increased, whose kids can't find a job? Raise your hand if you know anyone in a situation like that. Every single person in the room. Wisconsin was once known as the machine shop of the world. 1/5 of jobs in this state rely upon manufacturing. And of course, it's not just the people who work in manufacturing. It's the people who work at the restaurant near the plant, or it's the people who work at the real estate office, or it's the people who work at the nearby school, or the people who work at the nearby hospital. When the plant closes down, all of those people lose their jobs. And they have to go home and look their husband or wife in the eye and tell them that they can't pay the bills anymore. And they have to explain to their kids how they're going to have to cut back, defer dreams. Yet as they're deferring their dreams, are the lobbyists in Washington, D.C. cutting back? Are the politicians having to make cutbacks? No. What about the TV pundits who lecture you all day long and scold you for supporting Donald Trump? Are the TV pundits making cutbacks? No, life is great for them. And so you have a choice tomorrow to vote to put the interests of Wisconsin first, the interests of the American people first. For 40 years, a corrupt policy cocktail of uncontrolled immigration, of offshoring trade deals, has hollowed out what was once the greatest middle class in the entire world. And a man by the name of Ted Cruz supports every single policy that has been hollowing out the middle class of Wisconsin. Ted Cruz, Goldman Sachs' favorite senator, Ted Cruz. Goldman Sachs just loves Ted Cruz, don't they? And why does Goldman Sachs love Ted Cruz so much? Because Ted Cruz supported the offshoring trade deals that have deprived the working people of Wisconsin of a fair wage and a chance to get ahead. Ted Cruz has supported Chinese currency manipulation that has sent your plants and jobs overseas. Ted Cruz is not a conservative. He is a radical globalist who doesn't care about the working people of this state. I was there in the Senate when there was a great and mighty battle over Obama's trade bill. And Obama called upon members of the Senate and he said, I need your help. I need to pass this trade bill. I need to pass the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I need to get the authority to put the United States in this union so we can send our jobs overseas and help our corporate buddies. And what did Ted Cruz do? He said to Mr. Obama, yes, sir, I will help you however I can because my donors told me to. That's why the Club for Growth supports Ted Cruz. That's why Lindsey Graham supports Ted Cruz. That's why Jeb Bush supports Ted Cruz. Because Ted Cruz will lead the charge to destroy the middle class of Wisconsin and send all of your jobs overseas. Ted Cruz says if China cheats, well, we can't do anything. Let China cheat, Ted Cruz says. For 5 years, we've been trying to crack down on Chinese cheating, and every time Ted Cruz has sided with China, he says, well, we can't put a tariff on Chinese goods. Harley-Davidson wouldn't exist today if Ronald Reagan hadn't put a tariff on Japanese motorcycles. The U.S. semiconductor industry wouldn't exist today if Ronald Reagan didn't put a tariff on semiconductors. Throughout the history of this country, Our great patriotic presidents have saved American industries by confronting foreign cheating. But for 2 decades now, as Wisconsin has seen its middle class shrink more than any other state, our politicians have sold out the working people of this country time and time again, and no one more than Ted Cruz has sided with the special interests against American manufacturing. So I ask you this question: can Wisconsin support a man like Ted Cruz who sides with China over America? What I am asking everyone here today is to make sure you spread the message. Spread it on Twitter, on Facebook, on social media, by email to your friends, to your families, and to every reporter. Print this in your papers, put it on your broadcasts. Let this be known to every single working family in this state. If Ted Cruz is the nominee, he will pass the Trans-Pacific Partnership, he will send your jobs overseas, and he will kill the middle class, and we won't let it happen. On the question of immigration, in 2013, did you know that Ted Cruz pushed an amendment to double Muslim immigration into this country? To create in the United States the same failed conditions we've seen in Belgium that led to the terrorist attack? Ted Cruz is not a conservative. Ted Cruz is a Wall Street extremist who doesn't care about the security and safety of the American people. Are you going to support a person who would put the entire country at risk like Ted Cruz to appease his donors? Or will you support a man like Donald Trump who will put jobs and wages and security for Americans first? I'm going to make one more point to you all tonight. A lot of people, those special interests, the lobbyists, the offshoring groups like Club for Growth, the magazines like National Review that say the working class should die, all of these special interests have been lecturing Donald Trump about his tone. They say he's too tough on crime, and he's too tough on illegal immigration, and he's too tough on radical Islamist refugees. And so they lecture him about his tone. And they weep their tears in D.C., their phony crocodile tears, and say, oh, Donald Trump is too mean to the terrorists, and he's too mean to the illegal immigrants because he wants a secure border. Let me ask you a question. Did those special interests in Washington, D.C., did they weep any tears when a factory closed in your state? Did they weep any tears when the GM plant closed in Janesville? Did they weep any tears when Oscar Mayer announced it was cutting 1,000 jobs? Did they weep any tears when Kate Steinle was murdered in cold blood by an illegal immigrant? No, because they don't care about you. They lecture you and say your concerns aren't valid, that you're wrong to be worried about your children's future, that you're wrong for thinking a country should have borders, that you're wrong for thinking that American jobs and factories should be protected. And so they lecture you because they have contempt for you. They think that you're getting in the way of their grand designs and their money-making schemes. So understand this. In 24 hours, your vote can deliver justice for everyone who's ever lost a job unfairly. Your vote can deliver justice for every mom who's lost a kid to illegal immigrant violence. Your vote can deliver justice for every single person who's lost a job to a foreign worker program, to every single person who spent their life working with their hands in a steel plant or a leather factory and had that job sent overseas. You can deliver justice for all these people. And you're doing it out of love for your family, love for your community, and love for your country. And you're rejecting the hate and contempt of the special interests in Washington, D.C. who betrayed you. You're rejecting the sneering hate and derision of those who lecture you and tell you you don't matter, your concerns aren't valid, that you don't have a right to demand fairness and protection in your own country, that you don't have the right to say that American citizens come first. So I'll ask you this question. Will you get out tomorrow and vote for Donald Trump? Will you vote for a man who will put jobs and wages for Americans first? Will you vote for a man who will put the security of the American people first? Will you vote for a man who will fight for you and stand up to the bullies in Washington, D.C.? Will you vote for a man who cares about you and not about dollars from special interests? Will you send a message so loud that everyone around the world can hear it? Will you make history tomorrow? Louder! Will you make history tomorrow? So I will close with this final thought. This is your once-in-a-lifetime opportunity on behalf of everyone whose factory shut down, everyone who's been plagued by the injustice of living in a high-crime community, everyone who's lost a loved one to an illegal alien, everyone who's had their quality of life degraded, their wages stalled, their hopes dimmed, everyone who's been made to feel like their rights as an American citizen no longer matter. You can deliver justice for all of them. You can deliver rising wages. You can deliver security. And you can deliver a message that will be heard throughout all of history, that in these United States of America, the American people come first. Will you stand tall tomorrow? Will you vote tomorrow? Will you get out your friends? Will you bring out your family? And will you say loudly and unmistakably and with love and charity towards your fellow citizen that we will elect as president Donald J. Trump? Thank you, and God bless every single one of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next President of the United States, Mr. Donald J. Trump.